rope groaned against a wooden post, each dry fiber straining in the desert heat. The woman's wrists were raw, skin split where the hemp had bitten through. She did not cry out. She only leaned her head forward, lips cracked, whispering into the wind. "I'm just prey." A horse snorted nearby. Hoofbeats slowed in sand. Spurs clinked. The rider reined in hard, dust curling up around him. He sat tall, hat brim shadowing his eyes, staring at the sight in front of him. A woman, heavy with child, bound to a weathered post in the middle of nowhere. He slid from the saddle. His boots sank into soft dust. Flies buzzed at the corners of his vision. The woman's gaze lifted to meet his, steady as a rifle barrel. He cursed under his breath, drew the knife from his belt, and cut the rope. Fibers snapped, falling limp to ground. She slumped forward, catching herself with trembling arms. Her breathing was shallow, but her voice was sure. "They'll come back." The rancher frowned. "Who?" Her eyes didn't blink. "The men who tied me here." Wind swept through the canyon mouth, carrying grit that stung the eyes. The rancher glanced past her, out over the flats shimmering under the sun. For a long moment there was nothing but the drone of cicadas. Then, faint, steady, hoofbeats. The woman tilted her head toward the sound, jaw tightening. "You weren't meant to find me." The rancher's fingers flexed around the knife handle still in his grip. He looked to his horse, pawing at the ground, ears pinned back. "You can still leave," she said. Her voice was flat, almost cold. Instead, he reached out a hand. "Get up, quick." She hesitated, then slid her palm against his, rough skin against rough skin. He pulled her to her feet. Her knees buckled, but she steadied herself, one hand pressed against the swell of her belly. The rancher led her to horse, swung into the saddle, then leaned down. "Come on." She climbed behind him, her weight settling against his back. Her breath was warm against his shoulder. "Faster," she said, before he even gathered the reins. They shot off toward the canyon, hooves striking sparks on stone. The sound of pursuit grew louder, closer, harder, a swarm of riders chasing the sun. Dust rose around them. The canyon walls closed in. The rancher's heart hammered with the horse's stride, each breath sharp as cut glass. The woman's voice cut through the wind. "They won't stop. They don't forgive." The rancher urged the horse harder, weaving between jagged rocks where the shadows ran long. Behind them, the rider's shouts broke against stone, echoing down the gulch. She gripped his waist tighter, leaning close. "You should have left me. I'm bait." The canyon swallowed their words. The horse thundered on. Stone walls swallowed the sound of hooves, turning every strike into thunder. Dust rose behind them, rolling like smoke through the gulch. The rancher's eyes darted from one canyon edge to the other. Shadows moved above, ravens circling, black wings cutting across the sun. The woman clung to his back, her grip strong despite the tremor in her hands. "They're close," she said, breath tight against his ear. The horse stumbled, shoes sparking on rock, then lunged forward again. The rancher pulled hard on the reins, guiding it through a narrow cut where jagged stone threatened to tear skin from bone. The smell of sweat, horse and human, clung thick in the air. From behind, a whistle, sharp, then a laugh, rolling across the canyon like broken glass. The rancher felt the woman stiffen. Her chin lifted, listening, eyes half closed. "5 riders," she said. "1 far left, 2 on the ridge, 2 behind." He turned his head. "How do you—" "Quiet." Her fingers dug into his side. They rounded a bend. The path widened, light pouring down between stone cliffs. She tapped his shoulder. "Stop." "What?" "Now." He pulled the reins. The horse reared, snorting. The woman slid off, her boots landing hard on gravel. She dropped to one knee, dragging her palm across the dust. When she lifted it, grit clung to sweat, and her eyes narrowed on the trail of prints left behind. "They'll drive us into the open," she said. "They want a clean kill." The rancher scanned the canyon mouth. Heat shimmered in waves, distorting stone into specters. The air was still, too still. A stone clattered above. Both heads snapped up. A rider appeared at the rim, hat low, rifle braced. Another joined him, silhouetted against the sun. The woman grabbed the rancher's arm and shoved. "Move!" A shot cracked. Rock exploded where his head had been a heartbeat earlier. The horse screamed, bolting deeper into the canyon. The rancher stumbled after it, dragging the woman with him. Gunfire barked from above, ricochets whining off the walls. Dust filled his mouth, bitter as blood. They pressed against an outcrop, chest of stone, breath ragged. The woman's eyes searched the heights. "They'll follow on foot now," she said. "Think we're cornered." The rancher wiped grit from his face. "Aren't we?" Her gaze fixed on the ridgeline. "No." She pushed away from the rock, moving along the wall, fast, deliberate. Her boots made no sound against the dust. The rancher hesitated, then followed, his pulse hammering with each step. Ahead, the canyon narrowed again. A sliver of shadow stretched long across the ground. She stopped there, pressing her back flat against the stone, listening. The rancher opened his mouth, but she raised a finger. Footsteps echoed above. Loose rock tumbled. Voices carried down, low, rough, men laughing under their breath. She lifted her chin, eyes glinting. Two coming down. "Watch." He squinted at her. "Watch what?" But she was already moving, pressing her palm to the wall, sliding along the rock face. Every movement was measured, silent, as if the canyon itself knew her weight. The rancher followed, his chest tight. Then a sharp whistle. From the canyon mouth. Another answered from the ridge. The woman froze. She looked at the rancher, her expression sharp as steel. "They've split. They'll box us in." The hoofbeats rose again, echoing through stone. 5 riders became ghosts, circling unseen. The rancher gripped his knife, sweat slick in his palm. "Tell me you got a plan." Her jaw set, eyes steady on the shadowed bend ahead. "I told you, I'm bait." The word hung heavy between them, carried off by the wind whispering through the canyon's bones. The first outlaw dropped from the ridge, boots sliding down shale, rifle slung tight. The woman's hand shot out, gripping the rancher's arm. Down. They flattened against the wall. Dust showered from above, settling in her hair. She didn't blink, only followed the outlaw's descent with her eyes, sharp, unyielding. The man landed heavy, straightening slow. His grin was thin, eyes cutting through the shadow. "Gotcha cornered now." The rancher raised his knife, but the woman pushed his wrist down. Her voice was a whisper of steel. "Not yet." The outlaw stepped closer. Another shadow loomed behind him. Second rider, revolver ready. 2 guns against 1 knife. The woman moved. Not fast, not wild, measured like she'd done it before. She grabbed a fistful of loose rock from the ground and hurled it. The shard struck the second man's face, making him curse and stumble. In the same motion, she wrenched the revolver from the first outlaw's holster. 1 twist, 1 strike a bit across his jaw. He went down, teeth scattering in the dust. The second lifted his gun to the sting in his eyes, but she already had the revolver leveled. 1 shot. Thunder cracked through the canyon. He dropped, body twisting against a stone. The rancher stared, knife useless in his grip. "Hell!" Her chest rose and fell, but her hands were steady on the revolver. She turned, eyes on the ridge. 3 left. As if on cue, a bullet screamed past, sparking off rock near her head. She ducked, pulling the rancher with her deeper into the shadows. Gunfire followed, echoing wild, lead striking stone. The rancher's breath came rough. "You said you were bait." "I am." She slid cartridges from the dead man's belt, reloading in smooth, practiced motions. But not for them. Another shot cracked, close enough to sing past her ear. Her jaw tightened. She leaned from the wall, fired twice. 1 rider toppled from the rim, body crashing through brush before slamming into earth. Silence followed, thick, heavy. 2 left. The rancher pressed his back against stone, words catching in his throat. "Who the hell are you?" She didn't answer, only slipped past him, revolver drawn, eyes alive with fire he hadn't seen before. Hoofbeats thundered again. The last two circled down the far slope, horses charging hard, rifles braced across their saddles. The woman stood her ground. The rancher cursed, diving aside as shots tore through the canyon. Sparks flew, rocks splintered. She didn't move. She waited. Closer, closer. The riders bore down, dust kicking high behind them. Her hand was still, her breathing even. At the last instant, she fired. One rider pitched backward, rifle tumbling from his grasp, horse screaming as it bolted riderless. The last outlaw roared, rifle aimed square at her. The rancher shouted her name, though he hadn't been told it, but she didn't flinch. She shifted her stance, took the shot. The outlaw's body hit the ground before the echo died. Silence swallowed the canyon. The rancher rose slow, staring at her across the settling dust. She stood straight, revolver loose at her side, her eyes locked on something far away. He stepped closer. "You've done this before." Her gaze flicked to him, sharp. "I told you. They think I'm prey." She looked down at the fallen men. They always did. Her hand went to her belly, resting gentle there. For the first time her shoulders dipped, a shiver breaking through her stillness. She exhaled, long, ragged. The rancher moved to her side, voice low. "They're finished." Her head turned, eyes scanning the ridge, the canyon mouth, the dust still curling in the air. "No," she said. "One more." The rancher frowned. "You're sure?" She holstered the revolver, her fingers steady as steel. "He's not done until I say he's done." Her eyes darkened, and for a moment the canyon seemed to shrink around her. The rancher felt it then, the weight of her presence. Not a victim, not bait, something else entirely. She walked past the bodies, past the blood drying in the dust, her boots striking stone in even rhythm. Her hand lingered at her belly once more, then dropped to her side. Her voice was low, but it carried through the canyon like a bell. Time to reckon. Bootsteps struck the stone floor, slow, deliberate. The ruined chapel groaned in the wind, rafters broken, moonlight spilling to the holes like silver knives. The widow stood in the center, revolver heavy at her side. The rancher waited in the shadows near the altar, breast shallow, heart pounding loud enough he feared it would give them away. A voice cut the silence, low, confident. "Well now, look who finally crawled out of the dirt." From the doorway stepped the outlaw leader, tall, shoulders wide, coat swinging with every step. His revolver glinted in the pale light. Behind him, the desert stretched endless, stars burning hard above. The widow did not move. He smirked, teeth white against the dark. "Told the boys you'd come running." Always was too stubborn to die right. Her eyes never left his. Her voice was flat. "You tied me to a post. Thought I'd break." He chuckled, slow. "You looked the part. Prey. Weak. Heavy with child. Couldn't ask for better bait." His gun raised, steady now. "And here you are." The rancher tensed, ready to leap, but the widow's hand lifted slightly, stopping him. Her head tilted, gaze sharp as glass. "You think you're the hunter?" "I know I am." The room tightened around them, air thick with dust and old wood rot. The outlaw cocked the hammer. "Say your prayers." Her hand came up, not rushed, not desperate, smooth as water flowing downhill. The revolvers barked as one. The rancher flinched at the thunder, ears ringing. The outlaw staggered, gun spinning from his hand, fingers clawing his side where blood poured dark into his coat. The widow's shot had struck true, low, deliberate, sparing his life. He crashed to his knees, face twisting in shock and fury. "Finish it." She stepped closer, revolver steady, eyes burning with something colder than hate. "No." He spat blood. "Then you're weak." Her voice cut him like steel. "Weak will be killing you quick. You'll stand trial. You'll hang where the town can see." His laugh rattled in his throat, half choked. "You think that makes you strong?" She leaned down, close enough for him to see the fire in her eyes. "No, it makes me free." The revolver clicked empty as she spun the cylinder, then holstered it. She turned away, leaving him writhing on the chapel floor. The rancher stepped from the shadows, eyes wide. You could have killed him. Her gaze lingered on the broken doorway, where the desert waited in silence. Killing him's too easy. He doesn't deserve easy. For a long moment, the chapel held nothing but the sound of the outlaw's labored breathing, the creak of wood, the whistle of wind through broken glass. Then dawn broke. Light spilled to the shattered rafters, painting the widow in gold. She placed a hand on her belly, shoulders straightening, breath steady at last. Her whisper carried through the hollow chapel, soft but sure. This is how it ends.